Hi class, welcome to Unit 3 of Pastoral Counseling. I want to be vulnerable with you this week and share my testimony of an experience 12 years ago when I hit the ceiling fan and began to lose sleep and my body began to experience ill health. 17 nights, no rest, preaching 9 of 11 double AM services week by week, no sleep at all the night before. My endocrine system pouring into my digestive tract and sapping my appetite so that I could not eat food, losing 45 pounds in 6 weeks, suffering neuroreceptor burning sensations in my upper body, and the severest clinical depression and panic attacks at age 49 I had ever heard anyone describe. I realized as a pastor of other hurting people that perhaps anything I had ever said to them about how to get through the crisis of clinical depression was probably uninformed, perhaps even ill-advised or stupid. I did not know until I experienced myself what that stretch of life could be like, when a person could honestly say, I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live that way. God spoke to me personally and powerfully throughout that crisis, encouraging me and assuring me that He was transforming me into a better person than I was. I can't say anything anymore that isn't passionate or that I don't feel strongly about. I cannot preach a message from the pulpit that my heart is not all in it. God has completely severed my ties from terra firma, from planet Earth, so that I can now say there is nothing that holds me bound. I'll never say ever again that I love my house, or I love my car, or I love my stuff. No, I love my Jesus, and I love my family, and I love my friends, and I love a lost world that Christ died for. God knew what He was doing. And in each of your lives and the lives of those to whom you minister, He knows what He's doing. He doesn't waste pain. He doesn't throw away opportunity. He does not discount the validity of struggles and trials and distresses. And as you study this week about human behavior and peoplehood, be reminded what was said of Jesus in Luke 4:1 and Matthew 4:1. Then was Jesus led of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. That was necessary for His mission commissioning, His ministry ensuing and beginning, coming out of that desert and touched with the agonies of temptation and distress, to ultimately, through His life, know the hardships and the struggles that we, and then be able to effectively minister to us. Your devotion and instructions for this week state that many of us minister to people who are facing incredible darkness, depression, and anxiety brought on by abusive pasts, broken families and marriages, and economic misery. It can be tough to minister in the context of pain, and yet, my brothers and my sisters, that is where ministry is most effective. Jesus' life was a life of ministry interruption. And as you read through the Gospels, as you follow the Apostle Paul, as you account for the lives of the disciples, you will learn that much of their ministry happened in the context of pain and crisis and interruption. We find ourselves reacting in two ways: rescuing the person from the pain and really rescuing ourselves from having to endure watching the pain or running away from the pain and the person. There is a word in Genesis 1, tohu wabahu, some pronounce it, that describes the formless nature of the earth before God touched it in his final blessing of life and form and shape and transformation and beauty. And Genesis 1:2 says, the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. Formless, void, darkness. These words can be used to describe the darkness so many face in this world. But note that the Spirit of God was moving. And when it feels like life is formless and void and dark, be reminded that God is at work. You will learn most of what you learn about ministering effectively in the context of pain. Our education together in this class is simply for the opportunity of touching the many kinds of possibilities you might face and having some background insight about how to approach those painful moments when they do happen. You'll be reading this week chapters 5 through 7 in Kellerman's Gospel-Centered Counseling, chapters 8 and 9 in Bolton's People Skills. You have two threaded discussions that you will respond to. In chapter 6 of Kellerman text, you'll find the threefold approach to people helping, worded as this. Is my psychology model biblical? What is my psychology model? It's my understanding of people. He parallels that with an insight about creation. Is my psychopathology model biblical? My diagnosis of the root cause of the problems. That's taking a look at the results of the fall. And is my psychotherapy model biblical? That has to do with caring and prescribing cures for the redemption, sanctification aspects of spiritual renewal and rejuvenation. So in your prompt for this week, you'll be asked these questions. Do you agree or disagree that every counseling model addresses these categories of challenge? Why or why not? And is it helpful or unhelpful to think of the creation, fall, redemption, sanctification in these ways? Why or why not? And then you will have another case vignette for the week, a scenario to look at. And we would like for you to keep in mind using snippets of insight from both your authors, Kellerman and Bolton, as you respond to these questions. Concerning this case, what role does group counseling play in helping Jill and Ben? And how will you be assertive? There's a difference between aggression and assertiveness. Aggression is kind of shoving your way in, but assertiveness is exercising the right and the prerogative and the privilege that is yours to insert yourself in an appropriate manner. How will you be assertive and help Jill pull herself together and begin to think through her challenges in the context of a group? What ethical concerns must you take into account as you pursue your helping relationship with Jill, Ben, and others? And how do you create an environment where people feel as though they want to return for the next session? Group counseling has its incredible benefits. It has its unique challenges, and of course it has its cautions, even liabilities. So it's important to be aware of the benefit derived, the possible benefit derived, and of the harm done if things are not properly conducted or handled in the right way. Hope you'll find your reading, your engagements, and your assignments this week invigorating. And I hope that my personal story shared with you will be helpful in terms of your affinity and your identity with those who suffer pain. God bless you.